The number one threat facing our country today is, drumroll, climate change. Not Russia, not China, not AI, climate change.
This is some weird It looks like we got some insider Project 2025 videos from the hack that may have struck Donald Trump's campaign. Now, Trump and his campaign came out yesterday claiming that they had been hacked by Iranian officials and that sensitive information had been obtained. And I made a video breaking this all down, and I explained how not all of the claims had been substantiated. For example, we don't know exactly who hacked the Trump campaign. They could be making up the part about Iran, but Microsoft did come out and say, yeah, a top political official did get hacked, and it doesn't seem like it was the VP Harris campaign. They haven't said anything about it. And then Politico released an article saying that they got certain information. But this article from ProPublica is titled Inside Project 2025's Secret Training Videos. And this comes at a time when Donald Trump and his campaign are desperately trying to distance themselves from Project 2025 as it hits the mainstream and as people begin to understand, wait, Republicans actually want to strip away our fundamental lifestyle, fundamental rights, and Project 2025 is a blueprint that is out in the open telling us how they would do that. Now, I have friends that are beginning to understand the threat that Project 2025 poses, and they are people that don't pay attention to politics at all. Some of my Gen Z friends are now excited to vote for VP Harris, but this reads, Project 2025's plan to train an army of political appointees who could fight the so-called deep state on behalf of a future Trump administration remains on track. New videos. Dozens of never-before-seen published videos created for Project 2025 were provided to ProPublica and documented by a person who had access to them. Now, they are vague about this, and I do want to say, even though the Trump campaign is trying to distance themselves from Project 2025, do not fall for it at all. There's a lot of overlap between the people who wrote Project 2025 and the people who Donald Trump plans on putting in his cabinet. They are also training this army of people for Donald Trump to put to work on day one. Donald Trump also says he'll be a day one dictator, over and over, day one dictator, and if you check out Project 2025, they say the phrase day one over 30 different times. On top of that, Donald Trump implemented 64% of the Heritage Foundation's policy recommendations during his first term, and he has said over and over that the Heritage Foundation guides the policy of the Republican Party. J.D. Vance wrote the foreword for Kevin Roberts' book. I could go on, but I just want you to know, do not fall for Republicans' gaslighting. Make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe if you appreciate the fact-checking of Republicans. Quote, if the American people elect a conservative president, his administration will have to eradicate climate change references from absolutely everywhere, and that's only the tip of the iceberg. If you've been watching my channel for a while, we actually dug into Project 2025 and researched it. They want to ban pornography, criminalize it, jail people who create it or distribute it, classify librarians as sex offenders if they teach sex ed. It's all disgusting. Project 2025, the controversial playbook and policy agenda for a right-wing presidential administration, has lost its director and faced scathing criticism from both Democratic groups and former President Donald Trump, but Project 2025's plan to train an army of political appointees who could battle against the so-called deep state government bureaucracy on behalf of a future Trump administration remains on track. Donald Trump himself has endorsed the piece of Project 2025 that says on day one he will appoint tens of thousands of loyal, trained, and vetted civil servants into positions of power within the government, and he'd already tried to do that in his first term using the Schedule F executive order, and he's going to try to do it again. One centerpiece of the program is dozens of never-before published videos created for Project 2025's Presidential Administration Academy. The vast majority of these videos, 23 in all, totaling more than 14 hours of content, were provided to ProPublica and documented by a person who had access to them. The Project 2025 videos coach future appointees on everything from the nuts and bolts of governing to how to outwit bureaucrats. There are strategies for avoiding embarrassing Freedom of Information Act disclosures and ensuring that conservative policies aren't struck down by, quote, left-wing judges, as it says in Project 2025. They talk a lot about radical wokeism, Marxism. They use those actual terms in Project Project 2025, it is just far-right brain rot. Some of the content is routine advice that any incoming political appointee might be told. Other segments of the training offer guidance on radically changing how the federal government works and what it does, and the entire plan to appoint tens of thousands of civil servants, the plan that Donald Trump tried to do in his first term, again, is radical in and of itself. In one video, Bethany Kozma, a conservative activist and former deputy chief of staff at the U.S. Agency for Internal Development in the Trump administration, downplays the seriousness of climate change. Let's skip to the videos and watch some of these. So, this first one says, if you're bored...
If the next Republican president does not execute a dramatic course correction, there may never be another chance. So if you're not on board with helping implement a dramatic course correction because you're afraid it'll damage your future employment prospects, it'll harm you socially, look, I get it. That's a real danger. It's a real thing. But please, do us all a favor and sit this one out.
What word are you guys thinking of when you see that guy? Because he is weird. He's incredibly weird. That was awkward. Let's see this one about climate change.
What do you think about all of about the left's words and definitions in the environment?
It's a great point, Katie. They don't stop. Climate change, allegedly, is everywhere. And if the American people elect a conservative president, his administration will have to eradicate climate change references from absolutely everywhere. And according to our intelligence community, the #1 threat facing our country today is, drumroll, climate change. Not Russia, not China, not AI, climate change.
This is some weird shit, to quote our former President George W. Bush, but she is really giving a Katie Britt performance. Do you guys remember that after the State of the Union, that lady gave the performance and her facial expressions were weird? Is this person an actor or a politician? Why are the facial expressions so odd?
This shows how the federal government is all in on this issue. And climate change activists wield a lot of power. This is an issue to pay attention to as it has infiltrated every part of the federal government. Now, when I think of climate change, I immediately think of population.
Do you guys see what I mean when I say this is like bad acting? Leave a like and let me know in the comments. She then tells viewers that she sees climate change as merely a cover to engage in population control. Quote, I think about the people who don't want you to have children because of the, and here she makes air quotes, impact on the environment. She adds, this is the part of their ultimate goal to control people. What is up with, okay, so this just blows my mind. She is saying that we want to control people, but her and JD Vance and all MAGA Republicans are so obsessed with making sure that people have children. But this is Bethany Kozma. She worked in the Trump administration. Later in the video, Katie Sullivan, the former acting assistant attorney general under Trump, advocates for removing so-called critical race theory from public education. So, as hard as Donald Trump tries, as desperately as he tries to remove himself from this plan, every single person in this video worked under Donald Trump and probably will work under him again. This blows Donald Trump's argument right out of the water and kind of blows the lid on this whole thing.
I think you can expect that equity and all of the equity executive orders under Biden will be repealed early in the next administration. This is going to require a very detailed plan to execute the eradication of the dictates in the equity orders.
Wow, just a political genius, one of the greatest political minds of our time, really fighting for the people of this country, the working class, removing all of the equity plans that Biden put into place. Like, who the hell cares? Number one, you might as well sign some sort of Hunter Biden law. But number two, this is the argument for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Tim Walz, all of the videos of him that they pull up, he's like, yeah, I just want kids to have food in their tummies so they can learn. All of the leaked videos of Trump administration people, it's like, we need to remove any single mention of diversity. We need to remove all climate change regulations. It's actually evil stuff. If you agree, if you appreciate what I do, all that I ask is that you leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of this community. Most importantly, have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.